Hello, hello. This is Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games.
And Corey Thompson from Above Board TV and Dice Tower Dish.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 335, and we're recording this on September 11th, 2024. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. I love saying Gentlemen, it's so good to see the band stayed back together again for two
I
weeks in a
know.
row. This is so nice. Ignacy is like, you must be like, I don't know, not busy or something, low news cycle and things. But what's going on, everybody? Everybody doing well?
Pretty well, pretty awesome. Thank you.
Good, good,
Uh,
good.
I must say, although you make a beautiful voiceover with this powered by Board Game Geek, I missed your introductions about how you hate Tom Vassell for 300 episodes. So ridiculous every single time.
I never said I hate Tom Bassett. Never in
Yeah,
my life have I
yeah.
said that. How beating up on him and mocking him and throwing him under the bus and all kinds of crap. Yes, all of that, but I've never said those words. I kind of miss it too. But I am proud to be powered by Board Game Geek.
Board Game Geek.
Ignacy, tell us what's happening over at Portal Games.
Our Portal Games, we finally have our shipment of that Thorgal, the board game, reaching America shore. So today we sent out the newsletter to distributors and retailers with the final information, and I'm happy to share it. The street date for Thorgal, the board game, is set for November 14th. So we will put it on the pre-order very, very soon. So you can pre-order, and then we will start shipping to our fans who order directly from our website. But basically, you can already go to your local game store and say we want to have Thorgal in our local game store in November, and it's gonna happen. So this is one good news because we were not very clear if it will be this year or January next year, but we made it for this year. So Thorgal, the board game, a Viking themed adventure game. We will talk about this more later this year, but November 14th. The second news, it is not yet announced as we record, but it will be announced before the release of the podcast. We released the beta version of the app for the mobile devices. Imperial Miners. Imperial Miners is the game that we released last year at Essen. Very successful, 14 different languages, and now we are happy to bring it in a version of the app. You can go to App Store, you can go to the Google Play Store and download and buy the beta version. We'll make a final launch later this year, and the game will be also available through Steam for your IBM PC devices. So a new app from Portal Games, very proud. This week I also received a package from Chevy Dot, our Portal Games representative. He sent me a couple of gifts from Gen Con, and he also sent me this is a prize trophy. How you call it? What is this? What I'm showing to the camera? This is a award that we received from Board Game Quest for the Imperial Miners, and now we can show it in our office very proudly. So last year,
A
Board Game Quest
plaque,
award
right?
plaque. This is a
Plaque?
plaque.
Yeah, plaque. It's an award, right? An
Yeah, yeah,
award.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Plaque.
Yeah. So we are learning new words on the go. So we received a plaque for Imperial Miners, the best card game, and so this is perfectly fitting the
It's
news that we are having an app for the game as well.
and it has a Q in it, Ignacy. Plaque. It's one of those great English words with a Q, and it sounds like a K. It's fun,
Oh,
funny.
okay. So this
English,
probably
very strange
so
language.
this is probably the first and the last time I'm using this stupid word. Ne- Anyway, our pre-orders
That's a
for
stupid
S
word.
Yeah, pre-orders for SN are open. So whenever you are coming to SN, we have a pickup option, free shipping because you are picking from our booth, or you want to ask to ship it to you, whether you are living in America or in Europe or in Ireland, whatever, we will ship it to you. So go to portalgamesus.com and see all the beautiful games that we have for you this year. Obviously, the most important my new book, Board Games Tell Stories 3, on pre-order. Lots of fun articles about game design. Grab it till it lasts. And last week, I told you guys and our listeners that we are celebrating 25 years of company. and that we are doing a 4 days event. This event happened. So just a short report on one thing that is very, very important for me. As I told you and our listeners, we were doing a charity live to celebrate the 25 years of company. I did 12 hours of live stream playing board games and doing auctions of various items. I lost every single game during these 12 hours
This
Nice.
of
makes
live
sense.
stream. Yes, I was not super focused on playing. But we raised 20,000 Polish zlotych, which is a huge number of money.
Fantastic.
It translates to like a $5,000 or $6,000 in one live stream. And we made a summary of what we are doing on our YouTube channel for the past 4 years, because we are doing these charity streams for 4 years right now. And I want to tell everyone that we raised over these 4 years $75,000
Wow. That's
just
great, man.
just from my YouTube channel. So I always say I'm crazy, I'm silly, I'm making a lot of fun, and I'm having my YouTube channel. But sometimes I'm serious and I'm doing good stuff. And raising $75,000 over a few years, just being silly on camera, it makes me very happy and very proud. So this is how we celebrated 25 years of company doing good stuff and helping little kids. So things are happening well. Streeted for Forgal, new app, pre-order for Essen, and I have a plaque.
Very good.
Good use of the word plaque.
Yeah.
Good use.
Also, it's the dirt that builds up on your teeth. Just so you know.
It's a different kind of plaque. Yes.
Oh my God, that's
That's
dangerous.
true. That's another English, funny language. Corey, what's going on?
Oh, it's been the regular busy. So I'm in LA right now. I drove in literally last night and woke up at the crack of dawn just to do this podcast, just because I love you two.
Yeah.
I can't let it be said that I missed an episode with Ignacy.
Appreciate
That's
So
dedication.
it is total dedication. We're gonna do a little bit of filming here, and then after I'm done in LA, heading back to the Santa Rosa house, where there's going to be a large group of influencers descending and playing games and having fun and doing what influencers do. Don't look them directly in the eye; they get startled and they run away. Um, and then we're getting ready for Essen. That's one of the big reasons I'm down in Santa Rosa right now is Above Board is going to Essen. So we're going to have a few people from the film crew going. If anybody out there wants to have a meeting with Above Board, just let me know. But the trips are coming fast and furious. In real brief, I'm going to be going from LA to Santa Rosa, from Santa Rosa to Sacramento, from Sacramento to Iceland, from Iceland to Helsinki, from Helsinki to Essen, from Essen to Washington, D.C., from D.C. to Florida, and from Florida back to California. And that's how I am
Wow.
going to spend a lot of my September and October.
Nice.
The other exciting thing going on because
This,
I'm
that was
doing
exciting, right? Okay, that was exciting.
because I'm doing so much traveling and maybe, in spite of it, I've started another
Of
podcast
course, you
with
need to.
Daryl Andrews and Benita Cower. We're doing Nerd About, which is a live stream that we're doing on Tuesdays at noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time, where we just ramble on about traveling and board games and nerd stuff. So there's one or two things going on.
So you start a new podcast there, with influencers, and you're having all these influencers and game media people over at your
Yep.
house. And
Yep.
my invitation to either of those things is where? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
probably got delivered
Yeah.
to the boat that you're getting on, or whatever country you happen to be living in at the moment.
Which is true. Actually, as the people who are watching can see, I'm at my mother's house again. Um, and I'm here to visit her for a few days before Paula and I get onto the BGG at Sea cruise. Great transition, Corey. Very good. You're like a professional almost at this.
I've done this once or twice.
Where we're going to New England and Canada. We've done this basically same itinerary before, and it's lovely to go up, within the United States, New England, and then into Canada. The environment is different. It's nice and cool up in Halifax and Sydney, Nova Scotia. So we're really going to enjoy that. And of course, we're going to be with 100 board gamers, which is really cool. So I'm already scheduling War of the Ring games and things like that. So that's going to be great. And that's a 9-day experience. I'm going to be flying once we get back to New Jersey. Paula goes back to Florida. I fly directly out to Las Vegas for the World Series of Board Gaming, of course, which I've been talking about. And I'm playing in the War Game Invitational for, of course, War of the Ring. So I got to get in a few practice games so I don't embarrass myself in front of the sharks that'll be there. But that's going to be great. I mean, I can't say enough how much fun the World Series of Board Gaming is. And anybody who's local in the Vegas area, greater area, you should absolutely come. They will be selling at-door tickets for the open gaming. So you can come, like Dice Tower West, which takes place there as well. That library is going to be there, and they're running the open gaming section. Come, get a ticket. You'll get to see how the World Series runs, but more importantly, you get to game. Open gaming with a huge library. See me. Let's go get a drink and hang out and play some games. The last thing I want to mention is that in my D&D game with my industry friends that are playing together, we're now in our third campaign, actually.
Wow.
Alex Schmidt, Julie Ahern, Dustin Wessel, Rachel Blasky. And we've been playing since, 3 different campaigns now for 3+ years. And I'm playing a bard, a happy-go-lucky, nice support character for a change. I haven't played a bard since I think D&D 2nd edition. So it's been a while. It's been going great. We're in the Feywild, and I'm in search of my true love, as a bard might be. So that's what's going on in my gaming life. Ignacy is now holding up something very cool that looks like it's in Polish, because that's not an English word. Ignacy, what are you showing me? OBCY.
After the recording of the podcast, I'm running Alien RPG.
Oh, does that say alien in Polish?
This is Alien. This is Alien Obcy. So right after the recording, my friends will come and I play Alien. So yes, the role-playing games, high five, awesome stuff.
Awesome. Is that the Free League Alien?
Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
Very, very. They're doing so many interesting, good things over at Free League. I got to really give them a shout out. I saw their presentation at Gen Con, and I was funny. I thought like it would be completely like, the One Ring. Everybody in the audience was talking about all of their other stuff. Yep. I mean, literally, I was the first person right toward the end that asked about the One Ring. They would talk about Alien, Blade Runner, all their homegrown stuff. Very cool. They're doing amazing stuff there.
Very cool.
Let's get over to the event deck. All right. So again, we are in a slow news cycle, which gives us time to touch on the news and then get to lots of questions for you. And the first one here is a Games Workshop article. They had record sales and profits in the last fiscal year. Games Workshop, from ICV2, by the way, recorded record sales and profits in its last fiscal year ending June 2nd, 2024, as it worked to address supply problems that have plagued the company since COVID. Worldwide sales were up 12% to just a staggering number, $689 million, which is converted from British pounds. And the CEO, Kevin Roundtree, called out the 10th edition of Warhammer 40K, which he said drove growth through the entire Warhammer 40K product line. The launch of the large-scale Horus Heresy Legions Imperialis, Cities of Sigmar, and Warhammer the Old World as sales drivers. I'm blown away by how much they're selling. And this is a company, Ignacy, back in the day, we talked about them and their struggles and how they were struggling for so long. And now they're blowing up things from. And here's a part of this article that I was absolutely, completely blown away by. Overall, the miniatures category was the fastest growing part of the North American hobby games market in calendar 2023, and sales remained strong in the first part of 2024, although it appears that Games Workshop sales growth slowed in the first half of 2024. I did not know that, and I probably was just ignoring it because not a miniatures gamer. But those are some serious numbers, and the fact that it's the fastest growing surprises me.
It,
I just want
yeah,
short comment. Look, out of these four titles that you mentioned that were driving the most profit, out of these four products, I bought three of them. So this is my money over there as well. They had amazing year, and what you just said, we were covering in this podcast that they are almost dead. There were so many problems. They were closing lines, and then a new CEO. And now this is one of the biggest companies. Brilliant stuff and a
and
great case to analyze what happened, what moves they did to get from the bottom to highlight of the industry.
it's amazing. They've been such an old company. Everybody's kind of bashed on Games Workshop forever and ever. They thought they were the greatest. They were a little arrogant in their sales techniques. They were strange in their distribution. You could only buy from approved sellers. They've just turned around so much. And I want to point out that in the article, they also say that their after-tax profit went from 175 million to 200 million. This is a ridiculous amount of money as after-tax
And
profit.
on top of that, because I'm a vivid miniature gamer, like I play almost every week, 3 times a month, I play miniature games. And we are living for the past like 4 or 5 years, especially in the era of 3D printing. All these systems, games that don't sell miniatures, but they just say buy STL files, download them, print whatever you want. So we
Yeah.
have a huge growth of these communities and this scene of gaming. And yet, in this environment, Games Workshop, we don't care. We just grow, like whatever. Like we know people are
That,
printing their own miniatures, and we still sell even more miniatures. This is
that
insanely.
that's an amazing point you're making, that people now can easily go print their own miniatures. Heck, you can print, not saying to do so, but you can go print their miniatures if somebody creates an STL file that looks like a Sigmar army or something like that. Very, very interesting. Yet they're growing like crazy.
I just finished printing miniatures because I'm a vivid miniature gamer, and I just before recording of this podcast, I put a couple of miniatures from my printer, 3D printer. So yes, I'm printing miniatures and I'm buying miniatures, and this hobby is great. I strongly recommend to check it out.
Corey, why don't you take the next one?
All
As
righty.
my mother's phone
So
goes off, as you probably heard in the background there.
Uh, so there was a press release from Restoration Games that there are two new hires. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit last week and was very excited to announce Beth Erickson being added to Restoration Games as lead marketing alchemist. Beth worked for a long time at Z-Man and Pegasus Spiel. Good friend. I'm so excited for her. But now, friend of the channel, Paul Marchbanks,
Oh, yeah.
has been hired by Restoration Games as warehouse warlock, overseeing inventory management, warehousing, and similar duties. So Paul comes from Quartermaster Logistics, which of course is, that's all they do is
I have a
inventory,
and I
logistics,
have a
warehousing.
I have a very strong comment on that.
Yes.
The news is absolutely terrible. And I'm devastated because Paul was my agent at QML, and I was working with him on daily basis at QML, and now he's leaving. We got this information some time ago already that he's leaving QML. I know I will have a new amazing person at QML because there is no doubt about that. But when I got this
Yep.
email that he's leaving QML, I was just crying because it was like he's amazing person. He's amazing, and every problem I might have with customs, palettes, whatever, Paul was Ignacy. Don't. I'm taking this. Like, don't worry. Like I got you covered. So for
Wow.
the past year and a half, when he was our agent at QML, I was so cared of. It was amazing. And now he's leaving. Congratulations to Restoration Games. This is amazing hire, and I'm just crying here in Poland.
Well, we're really excited by everybody who's got these great
Yeah.
positions at Restoration. And it just shows Restoration's doing well. They're expanding out logistics, they're expanding out marketing. It's all good news.
Yeah, great titles. As I mentioned last week, I played their expansion, their unreleased expansion to Thunder Road Vendetta.
Fantastic.
Fantastic game, both the base and all the expansions. Loved it. So the next one is something we normally don't kind of touch on when there's a new game release, but I had to for this particular one. And this is Invincible, the card game, is coming to Kickstarter under Indie Boards and Cards, signing a multi-year deal to do this with Skybound Entertainment. Of course, Indie Boards and Cards and Stronghold Games merged, and therefore this is really cool for them to be picking up this big IP. And a little bit of information here. Indie Boards and Cards will base the games on its Aeon's End and Astronauts game systems, with the first in the series, Invincible, the card game, due to launch onto Kickstarter on October 8th. So just in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after you hear this, you'll be able to see this on Kickstarter. And they go on to talk about that merger, its sister business, Stronghold Games, which Indie Boards and Cards merged with in 2018, has several $1 million plus Kickstarter projects under its belt, including $2.7 million with the Terraforming Mars big box. So congratulations to my buddies over at Indie Boards and Cards. I just wanted to touch on that, that they don't normally get into licensed games, but they found a nice little niche with this, because Invincible is a very cool TV series that I definitely watch.
For everyone who has not tried yet, Aeon's End is one of the best, if not the best, deck building game on the market. I said it. Strong recommendation. I absolutely love it. I have all expansions, all editions, all legacy and not legacy. Like, I have everything for Aeon's End. I strongly recommend. So if this new game is on the same system, I might be one of the first backers.
Excellent. And let's get over now to strategy and tactics. All right. So Eric Lagerback, very big fan of the channel, Sweden, from Sweden. He says, this question is probably best asked when Ignacy is on, because the first part was asked when he wasn't on, and I'm curious about his view on Kickstarter videos. The second part is about the podcast and BGG. How much do the videos for a Kickstarter matter? Can you get stats on the page on how many watch the video before backing? How much time do you spend on the video? And what does it need to show? Background: I hardly ever watch the videos. I want my information in text format for the most part. I have anecdotal evidence that I am far from the only one, and I'm curious if there are stats for this. So, Ignacy, what do you think about that? How important is the video? And do you think most people watch it?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to point it very, very strongly. Portal Games is using crowdfunding, but I don't find myself being like a super specialist on this topic. Like, we are mostly dedicated to distribution and retail race of the game. So of course we did a couple of Kickstarters and GameFound campaigns, but definitely we would need Simon Games or Awaken Realms or somebody else answering this question. With my knowledge, it's not that important. And of course, the big companies like Awaken Williams and others create these amazing videos. But this is right. People are just looking to this video very quickly, browsing, and then what's the price? What's the stretch goals when the delivery? So it's nice to have a beautiful video. It's yes, we are spending some money to have it as awesome as possible, but I don't see like a direct correlation. Like, if this video has better 3D models or some amazing industrial light and magic effects, no, either the game has amazing components and amazing stretch goals, either the video will not change it. So we are putting for each of our Kickstarters, obviously, some solid money on this video, but I don't think it matters that much. But it's just my opinion. Just want to be very clear.
Yeah, couple of things on this. He also asked about stats. Yes, you can absolutely get stats about number of clicks on there, how long people watch the videos, and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't have that off the top of my head. And I am also not an expert on crowdfunding. I mean, we are all experts to the point that we're gamers and that we're publishers, but we're not certainly not myself or Ignacy, and I'd say Corey probably are not experts on truly running Kickstarters.
No,
But
no.
but I think those videos are super important because people want to see them. I'm surprised that that Eric doesn't watch them. It's like the first thing I do. I get to, oh, this is interesting Kickstarter. People are talking about it. Let me go take a look. Click on the video. It's only going to be 1 to 3 minutes, right? That's kind of like a spot. You don't want it to go on for 10 minutes. People will drop it too long. They want the highlights. How does those components look? Give me those 3D models. Oh, look at that flash. That looks cool. You spend the money on it to give a little bit of flash to what you're doing there.
It's the draw.
Yeah.
So one of the big paradoxes is that the video is the draw that brings you in, but then it's ignored. And once they're in the door, they're looking at the content of the Kickstarter thing. And there does tend to be a little bit of a separation that gamers tend to kind of ignore the video more and go into the content because they already sort of know what they're going for. They know before they even open the Kickstarter page, is this a Euro? Is this a thematic game? Is this a sequel? Is this an expansion? They know what they're going for. Whereas non-gamers are going to rely more on the video to give the feel and the general category of what the Kickstarter project is. So again, you get different percentages of this across Kickstarter versus GameFound versus BackerKit, but like great art in a game, and this is the eternal debate that we always have, is a fantastic game with terrible art versus a terrible game with fantastic art. How are they going to do? This is going to get people in the door. And if it's really glitzy and really pretty, you're going to get more eyes on your page, and eyes on the page translate directly into how many people are going to back.
Second part of Eric's question had to do with when a new game launches or goes on crowdfunding, there's often a contest on BGG to help the PR and hotness. They have quite a prominent display on the new page, but they also had that on the old page. Have a number of people participating in these contests changed with the launch of the new BGG, when there is just more things on the front page to check out as opposed to them. As everyone just saw, my mother came by here. She just doesn't understand what we do here. So in general terms, I always believed that putting those contests up on BGG was a good thing. More eyeballs, front page, everybody when they get there gets to that splash page. So I think it's a good idea to put them there and more. But they have, I think, in general, they've probably come down in popularity because there's so many other ways of showing off your Kickstarter. You get video previews, you get video reviews, you get the main video, you get all this other stuff. So I think generally the contests have come down, but I just haven't been using or looking at contests for a while. All right, anybody? All right, we'll go straight on if we have nothing else there. And W and Skater, love Ann, she's just an amazing person. Who is the most famous person you have ever played a game with who is not part of the board game industry conventionally, meaning not a board game designer, publisher, artist, or content creator, with the exception of Will Wheaton? Where were you and what did you play? Mine is playing Ra with William Hung at the 2023 World Series of Board Gaming. Those who don't recognize the name William Hung, he was made famous on American Idol by doing she bang, very bad, but he became a pop star and he competed. He's a real gamer. He's one of us. William Hung was there and Anne played Ra with him. I spoke to him. He's a lovely guy. Who's the most famous guy outside the game industry that you've played a game with? Anybody? I don't know that I have that I can think of.
Yes, yeah. I guess you played with the same person as me. Famous actor Rich Sommer, who is
Rich Sommer.
Yes, he visiting Board Game Geek quite often. He's a vivid gamer, so it was a great pleasure for me to play with him, and he helped me with the first Martian. So I actually, the one time I was in LA, we were mentioning this before recording. It was me going to LA to meet with Rich Sommer. and I was in his studio in LA, and we were discussing game design, and I was discussing how we will do First Martians together, and he did a voiceover for the whole campaign in First Martians.
Oh, cool.
So it was super exciting working with the actual Hollywood actor to have an actual voiceover in your game. So that is probably the most famous person from the Hollywood area that I met and played.
Right. So I know Rich well, so he would definitely be part of the ones that I mentioned. And he kind of was doing some content creation as a side gig for a
Yeah, he did a
while.
podcast back then. Yeah.
Yeah, a podcast about board gaming. He's a real gamer. I will now say that my most famous person that I've gamed with is Deborah Ann Wall, who's was on True Blood, right? 10 years or so ago, maybe 15 at this point, and she was in Daredevil. Amazing, lovely person, and I played games with her at Gen Con in the Board Game Geek Hot Games room with her, me, Lincoln Damhurst, and Nikki Pontus, his wife.
There's a huge number of celebrities who are into board games, and I've kind of that's sort of where I work when I'm in the LA area. So I've played games a few times with Kevin Sussman, who was the comic book store owner on Big Bang Theory. Matthew Lillard, who was Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, is very into the role-playing game and board game world. There's a huge number. Even, my partner at Above Board, Travis Oates, he's the voice of Piglet for Disney. So I've played a jillion games with him. Trying to think who TJ Storm is a friend of Above Board, and he's the motion capture actor who played Godzilla in all of the recent Godzilla movies.
Yeah, you get to meet people because of Above Board too. I mean, that's a big thing for you. So that's kind of cool. You're getting to meet more and more people in the Hollywood section of this of the world. I played one night Ultimate Werewolf with Kevin Sussman too at Origins. I reported that here.
That whole group was just such an amazing.
And you played with me too. That was right. I mean, I forgot about you being there, but it was Kevin Sussman. It was the Predator, the guy who played in the last Predator movie. The guy's like 9 foot tall. He was such a nice guy. All of them were just cool people. And if you ever, Kevin Sussman literally was, I don't know if I should say, he was that character. Like in person, he's like the character, the comic book owner. He's exactly that guy. It was really nice hanging out with those guys. And thank you for making me remember all these things. It was great stuff. Ron Graves from Canada, he's at Buckaroo. He's also gives us lots of questions. Thank you, Ron. Are there any plans for Board Games Insider to, one, develop itself into a network of affiliate podcasts or YouTubers under the branding? Ooh. 2, interview industry professionals, maybe under a different podcast tied to the branding. Or 3, stage a coup of the Dice Tower to oust Tom Vassell from his ivory dice tower to free his subjects from his tyranny and ridiculous wardrobe. I like number 3 the best. What do you think, guys?
No comment.
Oh, I'm sure this would go over well if Tom ever heard that. But
I know.
There's no real plan to do that. We like doing what we do. We have a great niche, right? Because we're the only ones that talk about how the industry works, because we're all insiders and news people. And for years and years and years. So that's the way it is now.
We definitely bring in interviews on occasion, especially, if there's a breaking news story, we have connections and we can talk to usually the people directly involved in it. So we try to do that when we can.
We did that with Lucky Duck. Twice I did it kind of with Lucky Duck. You and I interviewed Scott Morris and Vince Vergojean. I can't pronounce his name. Vergojean, from Lucky Duck Games and when they sold. And I interviewed Scott alone when he took that position at Lucky Duck, which was about 4 years ago or something like that. So no plans at the moment, but who knows? Glenn Slaggle, he's at Power Trout. He asks, if someone wanted to resurrect a specific out-of-print game, what steps would you recommend they take? Can a passionate fan without industry experience pull it off? Or do you need to be an established publisher to be taken seriously? Asking for a friend. No, really.
Yeah, the company who is doing that professionally is Restoration Games, and
Yeah, they sort of are, right? They're doing a great job at it.
but obviously there is more publishers who bring older games because Restoration Games is doing like games from 70s or 80s, like they are doing really from the archives. But there's more publishers who bring not that old games back. For instance, Super Meeple from France is brought Tikal or Mexica, so these were games from
Yeah.
the 90s, and they were very successful with these games. Uh, Accidentally, a couple of days ago, I was contacted by one of the publishers if there are any games of mine, older games that I want to share rights, like they want to reprint them. So if you have one particular game in your mind, you just reach designer and ask if the
Yeah.
rights for these games are in the hands of the designer or some other publisher have
Yeah.
them. And making a joke of our friend Dr. Rainer Knizia, he designed 1,000 games. He probably have a couple of games in his hand. His rights.
100%. He and at like Essen, very specifically at Essen, he goes around with his assistant. He's got an assistant, Corey, and he goes around.
I have
and
two.
You've got two assistants, so I'm sure he's got three. And he actually shows his games off, like a catalog of his titles that he'd like to see back in print. But for somebody else out there, what Ignacy just said is right. The first thing you do is you go to the designer, find a designer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I did at Stronghold with so many games, right? Survive. It was so hard finding Julian Cortland Smith because he's quite an older man. The internet and he were not big at the time, and we found him, and the rest is history. It did great. But that's how you do it. And can it be done by somebody without industry experience? Anybody could potentially run a Kickstarter. I just don't recommend it. You probably should find someone who knows how to publish games, has the ability to get the game
It'll be
printed.
a lot easier.
It would be a lot easier. So maybe do the legwork, find a designer, and then bring it to a publisher.
Yeah. The big thing to be careful of is a lot of these games, not only do you need to figure out who has the rights, but the rights are often piecemealed out into different countries and different zones. And the absolute master of this business tactic is, again, the good Dr. Rainer Knizia. Every one of his games probably has 5 to 10 contracts attached to it for how it's delivered to this market, that market, this country, that country.
Do you want a lot of versions. Do you want the classic Ignacy story? Because I have a story with me and Dr. Knizia.
Go ahead. Everybody has a Knizia story, I think. Go ahead.
In this box behind me, I have a contract for the game for Polish edition from Dr. Rainer Knizia that he signed. And then I got a phone call from his assistant. And I will remember this till end of my life because I was driving car and I am taking my phone because he's calling. And I hear in English, assistant of Dr. Rainer Knizia, is Ignacy Ciuciak speaking? I say, yes. And she says, connecting to Dr. Rainer Knizia. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then I hear Dr. Rainer Knizia, and this is not a prank. I hear Dr. Rainer Knizia in the phone, and he says that he signed a contract with me for the mentioned game, and his secretary made a mistake because the rights were already signed for Polish market. Speaking about the markets, and there is a big problem because now he signed with 2 companies, and he wants to apologize, but he cannot make this contract. So this was extremely abstract, ridiculous, crazy story that happened.
That's funny.
I still have this contract, obviously, as a part of memories of my company. Of course, we didn't do any trouble. Of course, we said, yes, we understand it was just a mistake, and we let the other company from Poland have the rights for the game. So there was very friendly solve the problem. Yes, I have my story because I always have some stories from the industry.
Can you tell us what game it was that you almost had?
That was Samurai from Rainer Knizia.
Samurai. Oh, great game.
Great game. It was released in Poland by a different company. But
new version was just announced, actually. But Rainer Knizia games always do this. But now you have an invaluable Reiner Knizia signature for your
Awesome.
autograph collection.
That's great. That's great. All right, last question before we move on. Mark Spector, great friend of the channel. He's at Camus73. He is the owner of Grand Gamers Guild. Tell us about your partners and their gaming tastes and life with you. I mean, we can talk about this one probably too long, but in brief, Ignasi, tell us about Mary and what she likes to do game-wise.
Yes, Mary hates the games that I love, which is the games that involve a lot of table talk. Like I love Bonanza, I love all the Avalon.
Yep.
When I can talk a lot, like I love talking, so she says, "Shut up," and so I don't play these games with her. She is a Eurogamer. She likes deep Euro games. She likes Vital Lacerta games. Like she's crazy.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Really heavy Eurogamer. So I'm the more Ameritrash, a lot of talk gamer, and she heavy Eurogame.
Wow.
Yep.
So my wife, Renee, she never sees me nowadays. So
well, you're the actress that plays your wife, your fake wife. All right, right. I remember that. Go ahead.
That's actually one of the things I like to talk about is I have a lot of friends in the gaming industry. I don't think any of them have ever met my wife.
I came close.
Very close. You talked to her on the phone.
Yes.
So, no, my wife likes playing games quite a bit, and I do log my games, and I think I have the most game plays still with my wife out of everybody that I've played games with. She will play any game, but her personal preference goes towards simple card games, classic games, simple and elegant. She and my son play, believe it or not, play Yahtzee and Five Crowns like every morning. So anytime I find a cool new game, I can throw it on the table and she'll play games and she'll do well and often beat me.
Speaking about the card games, Mary is also addicted to Tichu.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. So Paula likes light to midweight Euros mostly. She is not an American style gamer, which of course I do love. So that's what that we'll go to the light midweight Euro games when we play. She also loves like puzzle games, like Exit Series and stuff like that. So we'll play those quite a bit. She's just not into the more the games where you're out there traveling to do things, an American style game, an adventure style game of any type. I think she wants, even within a Euro, right? We solve a puzzle in a Euro, really. How can I optimize my moves to do the best, better than you? That's how that game works. So that's her style. And we've gone kind of long. So I think we should get to the play testing. All right, so last week, it was either Corey or Steven, one of us asked this question. If you could be a character in any game, which one would it be? And we said that obviously it has to be a game with characters, at least, in some way art that shows characters and things like that. So did anybody, we didn't get a lot of replies for this one. Maybe people don't want to be in games, but anybody see anything that they really liked here?
There were a couple. We had our typical fan base one. So Robert Minore said, I would love to be Gaius Baltar in Battlestar Galactica. So I worry a little bit about Robert here. I'm not sure I want to be alone in a room.
James Frew from the UK, he said, in every game of Risk I've ever played, I've had one troop who had held on alone, defending his province alone against overwhelming odds. He's been an Napoleonic infantryman in classic Risk, a gargantuan mech in Risk 2010, a shield-garbed spearman in Godstorm Risk, and astride an armored bear rampaging across the steeps in Legacy. His name is John McGuy and always has been. I want to be him. So that's not exactly
awesome.
what we were going for. We were looking at is there an actual character out there, with a piece of art that you wanted to be?
Yeah, but Alina, if I may, Alina said,
oh, I
and I
love
love
this
it.
one.
Yeah, obviously Maleficent from Disney Villainous, and this is a character that is, I love it, and she's also, or else the tree in the middle of the board in photosynthesis. So this is a little bit abstract.
There you go.
You stole the next one I was gonna read.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Peter Woken, of course, wrote The Panda in Takenoko. You could just sit around in a beautiful bamboo garden and eat to my heart's content.
Fair enough. Yep.
Kevin Martin, he says, from Santorini, Dionysus, the god of wine. Need I say more? Absolutely a very, very good answer. I would like to be Bacchus.
I think I live that.
That's Corey's life. All right. So this week I called an audible at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if Ignacy can relate to what that means in football. You change the play as you read the defense. And what I did when I put up the Games Workshop post, I created a question just based on that because I think it was very appropriate. You see how I did this? Is great. So my question out there to our fans for this week is, do you now or have you ever played a true miniatures game like one from Games Workshop such as Warhammer 40K, or possibly a historical miniatures game like one set in the Napoleon era? Now, we're not talking about games with miniatures in them specifically. I probably should write that here, but that's not it. We're talking about a miniatures game.
The genre of
miniatures game. And I also ask, which one or ones do you or did you enjoy the experience, and tell us about it? And if not, why not? And then I continue. And finally, if given the opportunity, someone was going to bring you a fully painted army, put out the terrain, explain the game, would playing a true miniatures game be of interest to you? So, I mean, Ignacy, you said that you're a miniatures gamer and you do this several times a month. Tell us about what you play.
How much time we have?
Oh, we have 1 minute.
Warhammer Fantasy Battle, so the old one, classic from the 90s. Warhammer 40K, because Games Workshop, and from the Games Workshop, Kill Team and Blood Bowl. So we have 4 games from the Games Workshop. As for the independent publishers and games, Flames of War, which is a Second War historical miniature game. From the Osprey games, Frost Grave and Rangers of the Shadow Deep. From the independent publishers, also Gaslands, which is a post-apocalyptic racing game.
So good.
I play a lot. This is my favorite hobby. Of course, I work in the board game industry. I'm a board game designer. I love board games, but the miniatures, painting them and creating the terrain and rolling dice. And back then, when I was in a college, I was doing official tournaments, so I was doing all these events and playing in them. Like, this is huge for me. And I remember 2 years ago, I wrote an article for my fanzine about the miniature games that I play, like reviews of them. And it was 7 pages long. I play a lot.
Wow. So before we get on to Corey, so literally you have played heavily in every portion, I think, of hobby gaming. How about CCGs? You're a Magic player too, aren't you?
For CCG, I played Legend of the Five Rings, and I played Doomtown, a little bit of Magic the Gathering, but back then, the mostly I played Game of Thrones, CCG, from Eric Lang, and I played Doomtown. That was the most.
My answer is I have never played a true miniatures game. It's the only part of hobby gaming I have not gotten into, but
not even Car Wars or Auto Duel.
Well, I don't consider that. I don't consider Car Wars.
I think that was early miniatures,
especially since I played it with chits. So is that a
painting and terrain, 3D terrain, big table?
And I got Car Wars 6th edition here, which I haven't played with all of its miniatures, but I don't think that counts. I'm saying the system is based where you put out armies, you put out figures, and you go and you have an objective to attack. That to me is a miniatures game.
How you call the
ruler?
The device. Exactly.
Ruler, yeah,
with a measure, tape measure,
right? But I mean, and that's
important.
Yeah, well, I don't know that every system has that. Most of them have something like that.
All of them.
It's a defining character.
Is it? You have to have a ruler in it to make? No, I don't think so. Really?
No. Miniature game, you need to have a full flexibility to move your troops, so there's no spaces on the board. You don't have a spaces that you move from the space to the space. You have the full flexibility and just the range.
There we go. The defining character is full flexibility and rulers to make your movements. Corey, anything for you?
Yeah, along those lines, I've I played for a long time a weekly or twice a week group that liked miniatures games, and I didn't play a ton of them, but I did play miniatures games with this group. And one of the best gaming experience I remember, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of the actual miniatures game. It was an independent. It was a pirate miniatures game, and the mechanism was with the tape measures. When you would shoot your cannons, you would say, I am aiming for 15 centimeters away. And then after you said that, you would measure it and see how
Oh,
accurate you were.
wow.
So the
That's not
skill
fair
was in
almost.
eyeballing. Actually was a skill in eyeballing how to measure the shot. And then there was randomness about where the shot landed, because you had your point you were aiming for, and then there was randomness in a circle outwards. But I had such a good time with that
For
pirate
years,
miniatures game with
So,
full
yeah.
painted ships. And this
For,
was 5 to 10 years ago.
for years, I played Dwarf Army for Warhammer Battle, and I have a catapults, cannons, all this jazz.
nice.
And you have to say
So,
exactly like you
so
said. I'm shooting
I love that mechanism.
40 inches in that direction, 20 inches in that direction, and the whole artillery will just amazing.
I am the only one here who has not have had a true miniatures game experience. And so that last part applies to me. If given the opportunity, I would love to try this. So anybody out there who wants to find me,
I think you should play Gaslands, because that would be
It's
right up
amazing.
your alley. It's
Gas.
basically take a Hot Wheels car and play Total Mad Max with it.
Oh, well,
It is
yeah.
incredible.
And this is the only miniature game that my wife Mary plays with me. She loves it. This
It's
is
so
like
Really?
approachable. It's so
this is
fun. It's total
this is like a
chaos.
destruction derby. You are just having your matchbox little cars and you just destroy each other in racing. It's crazy.
Sounds awesome. I guess I have
Really
to wait.
well
But if
done.
anybody out there wants to introduce me to one of these games, one time shot, couple of hours tops, I would do it with you. So we're asking you this, and Ignacio right now, I see him doing it.
Yep.
He's creating a thread on Board Game Geek for you
He's
to
so
answer
good.
our playtesting question to you. So please go to the guild, sign up for the guild, for God's sakes. If you haven't done it already, one of the biggest guild active. Come on, come talk to us. Let's get as many subscribers as the Dice Tower. Okay, that ain't gonna happen, but we'll come close. In the meantime, the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening, and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. You want to be part of this podcast? You can. Just go over to the Guild on Board Game Geek and first become a member of the Guild. And if you are not, and then ask us questions for strategy and tactics segment, and answer our question to you from the playtesting segment simply by posting in the correct thread in the guild. It's really easy, I promise. Just do it. Check out the websites, which are BoardGamesInsider.com, PortalGamesUS.com, PodfatherGaming.com, DicetowerDish.com, Play2ZGames.com, and AboveBoardTV.com. On social media, please interact with us. We have the same handle basically everywhere. So Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's at Board Games Insider, at Portal Games US, at Podfather Gaming, at Play to Z Games, at Dice Tower Dish, and at Above Board TV. Come and speak directly to all of us on those platforms, and hit the YouTube channels, which are specifically the most popular of all of this: Portal Games Studios, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. We'd really love to see you at an upcoming convention, and those are the World Series, BGG at Sea, the World Series of Board Gaming, Essen for you two guys. I can't make for the first time in 15 years, terribly.
It's going to be the best one ever.
The best Essen ever. I'm going to miss it. BGG Con in November, and then PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. That will round out the rest of the year. So if you're at any of those, please stop by and say hello. We'd love to just meet you, if not game, if not go and hang out together. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. And if you want your podcast edited by Joshua, reach out to him at tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing all of the segments there and introducing us and all that beautiful stuff is Ray Greenlee, and he can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Gentlemen, we're done. Anything else?
The rumor says that our friend Eric Lang has a
Uh-oh.
birthday today, so maybe we can sing for him. Happy
Ooh.
birthday,
Day to you.
Eric.
Happy birthday
Happy
to you.
birthday
All right,
to
yeah.
you.
Eric,
All the best.
all the best to Eric Lang
I'm
on
gonna.
his. I believe
I'll
he's
probably see him in Essen.
I believe he's about 79 years old. Yeah, I think that's about right. So
You are more or less, yeah.
Oh, he's younger than me.
no, it's about. I think you're about 79. You had a birthday like 2 weeks ago.
79.
Yeah,
I did. I did.
yeah.
All the
Very
best,
cool.
Eric.
Ignacie's the young guy here. He's only 65. Oh no, I'm 63. I'm the young guy.
So just want to throw out there that Above Board is currently filming new segments for Wasteland Weekend, where we're playing Vendetta, your favorite game, at Wasteland Weekend, this Mad Max get together Burning Man thing in the middle of the desert.
Really nice. Why didn't you fly me out to play this game against you?
Because you're in another country and on a boat and out of,
Yeah.
For all I know, you're on another planet.
That I would love to do. Anyway, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Take care.
See you later, all.